I will cover 3 corrections in yoga poses that I wish I knew when I was starting out, because it can deepen your practice quicker and prevent injury. And I see most of these not being addressed in yoga classes that I attend to now. Welcome back to my channel. Here we address and explore ways to up-level our energy so we can feel more vibrant, productive, and courageous. So let's get into it. So the first common correction is in a downward dog. Downward dog, we have our hands underneath our shoulders to begin. We normally transition from a tabletop. Knees are underneath the hips. We tuck the toes. We lift the hips to the ceiling. Now, most people will try to straighten their legs here, press the heels to the floor, because the picturesque ideal photo of this pose is you have your heels on the ground and everything is straight. But it doesn't matter about what it looks like, guys. You know that I'm all about what it feels like. And to protect your lower back here, it's super important that we tilt the sit bones. So I want you to actually grab your hands, feel your bum, feel those sit bones in your bum, the bony bits. These have to point upwards. One of the coolest teachers once said, imagine you have a torch up your bum and you're trying to point the light to the ceiling or to the edge of where the wall behind you and the ceiling meet. So we're tilting that pelvis and bending the knees to help do that. Your hands are flat on the floor, your shoulders are wide, your head is relaxing and looking between the toes. So it's this pelvic tilt from the straight legs again, rounding the back. You end up rounding the back instead, and that stretches your ligaments here. Not so good. So we want to bend the knees, point the sit bones up. You see the difference in the tummy area as well. And sit deeper into the shoulders. Oh yes, so good. And that way you're getting a much deeper stretch into your hamstrings, which is the area that the downward dog should be targeting. And most people feel it there. And you will actually get more flexible the more you practice it when you're doing that adjustment, because you're actually addressing the part that's the tightest, which are those hamstrings. Not to forget that you're also stretching that beautiful back fascia, which wraps around from the toes all the way, the back, up the back, over your head to your forehead. And then on top of that main hamstring muscle, of course, you're also feeling a little bit in the calves and your ankles by pressing those heels towards the floor, not necessarily on the ground yet. Now, the second pose I want to address today is the plank position, down to chaturanga. So let's grab a block for this. Now, when we do this flow, I see a lot of people, they've got their hands there. We'll do it on our knees today. And they'll come down to their chaturanga. They'll round their shoulders. They'll bend into the elbows, but they might even have them wide and they come down like this. Now, chaturanga should really be working through the triceps, which are the muscles behind here. So what you want to do is roll your shoulders back, squeeze those back shoulder blades together, engage your core, lean forward slightly so you're pushing a little bit of the weight into your fingers. So you're shifting forwards, you've got the shoulders rolled back, you're bending into the elbows and you're going to graze the elbows along your rib cage. So you're nice and tight and close, and then you touch the floor like this. So another way that you can address this to make sure you're getting the alignment right is to use a block. And you want to have the block behind your wrist to make sure you're stacking the wrist underneath your elbow, pushing up and bending down. So it's actually, the hands are a lot further back than a lot of people may have them. They might have them just under the shoulders, which can round the shoulders more as you're doing this over and over. And you're actually getting tighter in the shoulders You're not addressing the muscles that it should be working, which are the triceps. And then it's also the distance between the hands and the feet that need adjusting for when you're doing the whole flow. So again, for correction, use a block. That way you can see if you don't do it, you'll push the block back. So you might need to come onto your knees because your muscles may not be there yet. Lean forward, roll the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, push the hands into the floor, and come down. Beautiful. And then you can do the flow into a baby cobra maybe, and into a downward dog. You're welcome. Again, if we don't do this adjustment and line up the elbow underneath, over the top of the wrist as we're coming down, then we can risk putting too much pressure in different areas of the hand. That could be a problem. Or we're bending the elbow out, which rotates the shoulder in an awkward way, and it can end up rounding your shoulders and tensing up into the traps here. So you want to roll the shoulders back, open through the chest, and really use that alignment to come down as you're coming down towards the floor, keeping your core engaged. Pose number 3 is warrior 2. There's 2 corrections here actually, and I'm going to address both. They both come down to the rule that my beautiful yoga teacher taught me to never bend forwards, bend sideways, and twist the spine at the same time. Because if you imagine the spine has vertebrae. And if they're twisting and bending, you're actually constricting the twist to go further because the bones end up touching the vertebrae. And then that really just physically makes you not able to go deeper into that stretch. Whereas your ligaments and muscles might be able to keep going. So she recommends to always be aware of either twisting or bending or folding forward and back with the spine. Try to isolate those movements. So when we're in warrior 2, we have one foot that's turned out to the front. That knee is bent and it's stacked over the ankle. The other foot can be on a slight angle with the toes, and you're pushing into the outer edge of that foot. Now when we find this position, we try to lower the hips, feel that beautiful stretch, get the hips side on towards the side of the mat. A lot of the times you're not going to have it perfectly in line with that side of the mat. And that is fine because we're human. Now what tends to happen for me, for example, when I try to go deeper with this knee bend, my hips tilt. Can you see that? So I'm holding it and they go. Now I'm squishing in this side and I'm lengthening this side. And now what I want to do is play with this pelvis tilt. So you want to feel the edge where those hips start with your hands and feel the edge where your ribs start. And then you'll notice the spacing between them might be different. Right now, this side is way further apart than this side. So what you want to do is tilt that pelvis. You might have to shorten the stance so then they get even. The second correction is your shoulders. So because we have this beautiful mat, you're lining up your legs so the heel is kind of in line with the other heel, and then you're thinking, oh yes, cool, I'll line up my arms with the legs as well. No. Because what you want to do is not have to, this hip is slightly off angle for me. So I actually want to stack my shoulders on top of the hips and also have it slightly on an angle like this. See the difference? Instead of this, I'm twisting my spine currently. And then if I'm going to do sun salute, I'm twisting and bending. Instead, have the shoulders stack over the hips, arms are out, drop this hand down, reach the other up, and feel this beautiful bend in the spine. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And then you may be able to go deeper as you go because you're targeting the right areas. That's it today, my friends. It's a shorty, it's a goodie, but try those out for yourself. See if you feel the difference. See if you can take your practice further and deeper, and I wish you luck with it. See you next time. Make sure you subscribe if you felt this was helpful. Do the thumbs up as well if you like this particular video, and that way I know what to create for you guys in the future, and also that lets other people know that are looking for stuff like this that this one was good. See you next time.